So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting of February 23rd. I just have a brief statement I'm going to read. Due to the public health and safety concerns associated with the COVID-19 pandemic, the board is meeting via video conference using the Zoom platform in accordance with the governor's executive orders that have been now extended through March 24th. There is no public participation in person tonight. Okay, rather the public can watch the live meeting through Zoom, online, YouTube, or we will also believe through cable. Notice of tonight's meeting was published as required and posted on the town website. The web notice included instructions for members of the public to access the meeting and participate in any public hearings. For each of the public hearing application on the agenda this evening, public comments will be taken at the appropriate time after the board has asked any of their own questions. Please note that tonight's meeting is being recorded and a transcript will be available at a later date. We start our meeting tonight with some administrative issues, and we'll issue several, then we'll have our public hearings, which are matters that the board has already had an opportunity to review, but now we want to hear from the neighbors as we recognize that you know these properties and these issues perhaps better than we would based on our review. Finally, we will get to the reviews, which are generally the first time we review applications, although there are applications that are included here where the applicants needed to get the board additional information. There will be no public comment on any of these reviews this evening. Neighbors will be noticed of these applications at the appropriate time for some future meeting. If you wish to comment on any application that has a public hearing this evening, when we get to that item on the agenda and I ask for public comment, please do the following depending upon whether you are on the phone or online. Members of the public attending online via the Zoom app may use the raise hand feature at the appropriate time if you would like to comment. The feature is located at the bottom of the screen. Those attending via telephone can press *9. The meeting host will see that your hand is raised or that you have pressed *9 and will unmute those waiting one at a time so you can speak. In either case, please state your name when you are called upon to speak. We do have a couple ground rules. In order to keep this meeting orderly and ensure we get a clear recording, please follow these ground rules. 1, when you are given access to speak, please state your name and address. It is helpful for the board members to know if you are a neighbor to an application. 2, board members, I will call on you one at a time to speak to avoid everyone speaking at once. If you wish to speak at any time when I am not calling on you, you may also just raise your hand, use the raise hand function, or just raise your hand. Since there's so few of us, I should be able to see. And board members also, please mute yourselves when you are not speaking. This is especially important if you are not the only one home, as you never know what might happen in your back behind you, animals barking or whatever. And 4, we will use roll call voting for purposes of all board actions. We generally do anyway, although for the minutes and other things, we can generally do that more with a raised hand function. This is to ensure that the record is clear. Thank you in advance to everyone for your patience as we negotiate this way of doing business. We did try this early last year. We then decided to go back into person. So, we are going to go try this again at this point. Remember that we're used to having papers in front of us, and now we're looking for documents on our computers in addition to those on paper. So this will take some getting used to for all of us. So just please bear with us. Thank you. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to ask everyone to, we'll actually start with a roll call. For purposes of the record, I do see our members Aziz Hassan and Rocco Limatone. So we have a quorum of 3 people, okay? So based on that, we are ready to go. I'm going to ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I found a flag. Oh, you found one, good, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So our next meetings coming up are going to be Tuesday, March 23rd and April 27th. At this point, we We're going to see how tonight's meeting goes to make a determination as to whether what platform those meetings will be on. So I can't tell you at this point whether they will be on Zoom or in person again. We're just going to hold that on reserve. We do have one set of minutes to approve. We have a set of minutes from December 22nd, which 2020, which were very good, but there were just a couple modifications or suggested amendments. So I don't know if any of the other board members had any modifications to those.
I propose I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Do I have a second? Thank you. So all in favor, if you could raise your hand in support, that would be great.
Aye.
Okay, so for the record, myself, Aziz, and Rocco all raised our hands in support of the minutes, so it's unanimous for approval of the minutes of December 22nd. All right, so normally at this point, I would say it's February. March is still, the possibility still exists to have snow, so I would tell you that if you are scheduled for a public hearing and there is snow and town hall is closed and we are not operating on Zoom, then the meeting would be canceled as it was last month, actually. And then we would ask that if you have a sign on your lawn that you update your sign so that the new date is reflected. I know one of my neighbors has a public hearing on this evening, and frankly, one of her signs got totally buried with the snow. I couldn't find it, and I walk by that property several times a week, and I couldn't even tell you where that sign is at this point, but I did see it up. We do know that the neighbors all got letters. So, to the extent that you can, please change the dates on your sign, but we recognize with the snow, it is a little difficult. I don't think I have any other comments at this point. So again, how the meeting operates, the first things on our agenda are public hearings. These are items we've already seen. But at this point, we do want to get some comments from our neighbors of these applications. So
I make a motion to open the public hearing for Appeal 3974.
Okay, how about let me introduce it first? Okay. Item number 1 is a public hearing for Appeal 3974, Laurie Joseph Builders, Inc. Laurie Joseph Builders, 80 Fishkill Hook Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 75-foot sideline variance from I-84 for a future dwelling pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations, section 194, attachment 3, note 11 of the zoning ordinance. So Aziz has made a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All
So
right.
if you're here as an applicant, can you please raise your hand and I'll promote you to being able to speak? Okay, I'm promoting Bernard Lanza.
Okay, good. Thank you. So the board has had an application or an opportunity to review this application before. This is a property that is the last property before the right of way for the I-84 in Wikipedia. It is a property. It's a very large property. It's about 6 acres, if I remember correctly, and it is adjacent to additional property that may very well get added to this, but it's on like non-buildable land. There's a lot of wetlands on this site. There are quite some significant topography changes on this property as well. One of the, in our discussion with the builder, one of the things that we asked him to consider was the fact that we don't want to approve a lot to be buildable if it's then, the future owners are not going to be able to put a garage on the property because they were not proposing to build a garage with the house or a shed or some of the other things that normal property owners can do. And so we invited the builder to actually show us a house with a garage. In doing so at our last meeting, it actually required that we would have to give an additional variance. So it's a 15-foot front line variance to be able to accommodate that garage. But I think overall it makes the house better. And then the applicant was also able to show where future owners of the house could put a shed on the property without needing a variance in the future. So by the board's request to make a property with a garage, because we all know that, people appreciate having areas to store things and garages, particularly in this type of weather. it did require that the board consider an additional variance. One of the important things here to note is that when the applicant originally bought this property, the 100-foot buffer from the Taconic and the I-84 was not in place, was not in the town code. So that did occur after the purchaser, the builder's purchase of this property. However, I think one of our members was a little concerned about the site distance of this property. So if there are any comments or questions from board members, I'd like to start with those first. So Rocco, if you want to start.
Sure. Being from the area, I drive past this lot, the proposed lot, a lot of times. And I don't have a problem with the house where it's going to be built and so forth. What I have an issue with, and I want to see if maybe we can resolve this, is where the driveway is going to come out. When you're coming over the I-84 overpass, it's a blind spot. Now, speed limit there is 30, but everyone's driving like 40, 45, 50 plus. When you're coming over that I-84, if someone's coming out of that driveway, there's a potential for a serious accident. Now, the house across the street, the farm there, has had their fence hit many times by cars. The house next to that, the fence has been knocked down by cars, and even the Wikipedia Firehouse sign has been crashed into by cars. So that's my concern. I don't know how we can get around that, because there's a potential for a serious accident there. Can't hear you. You're muted.
I got to take myself off mute. Thank you. That's certainly something for us to consider in reviewing this. So, Mr. Lanza, would you like to offer any comments to that? He's muted.
He's on mute, yeah.
Mr. Lanza, you have to unmute yourself.
How's that?
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Thanks for having us. That's a very good point that you made. Unfortunately, and in as much as the property has a tremendous amount of frontage along Fishkill Hook Road, the topography starts dropping off very quickly just beyond the overpass that you're referring to. And there's a guardrail system that's set up there, which includes an opening in the railing system. And quite frankly, we're proposing the driveway as far, within that guardrail opening, as far away from the overpass as possible. And you made a good point in terms of, there being risks associated with that, but there really are no alternatives in terms of accessing that property from any other part of that frontage.
Have you looked into, I'll just throw some ideas out, maybe, let me put it this way. I think what's going to be needed is some sort of signage, hidden driveway, be careful, whether it be a driveway mirror. I see the potential, especially with the snowstorm last month. I came over that bridge and there was no slowing down. I mean, you were just sliding. So I'm just concerned with that. And I'm just wondering how we can fix that, whether it be signage or something else. I don't know.
Okay, Mr. Gary Joseph is here with me, and he would like to make a comment in response to that.
I have no objections of putting up sign, hitting driveway, a mirror, as you're suggesting, with regard to the overpass traffic. I don't know what other mitigation we could do due to the fact that as Mr. Lanza said, that the topo and there's a stream that we just can't go any further away from the overpass with the driveway, but we have no issues with putting up signage or mirrors.
Can you tell us what the site distance is? How far are you with this, where your proposed driveway is?
The driveway is 200 feet away from the overpass. So there is an opportunity for some, it might not be as much as, everyone would want, but there is 200 feet there. And even if someone's traveling at 40 miles an hour, so there is, there's a reasonable amount of time to react to that type of traffic.
So for a car that's going 30 miles an hour, 200 feet is,
That's 44, that's 44 feet per second. So it would take 5 seconds to get from the edge of the bridge overpass to this driveway.
okay.
And maybe in the proposal, it should be that they have to erect a mirror at the end of the driveway so the person coming out of the house can see if there's traffic coming from that direction.
No objection.
Will there be a turnaround within the driveway itself that will allow the person, the family that lives there to be able to pull out of their driveway as opposed to backing out of their driveway?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I think that would be more helpful because then at least you can
Yeah.
out and go.
If you look at the plan where the garage is, there's ample room down there to turn around, and it would be a very long driveway to back up out onto Hook Road. So it would almost be a requirement to drive out.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not really expressing an objection to the project. I just want to make sure that it's safe for people that live in the area that are driving up and down that street. Because you do get a lot of truck traffic on that road as well. A lot of trucks pass through there to get to 52.
I understand.
All right, Rocco, any other comments or questions?
No, that's the only comment I have. So I don't know if there's something we should put in there that it should be required, that there's a mirror, or requiring that there's a hidden driveway sign somewhere located so that people can recognize it.
So I've
Yeah.
I've proposed a few proposed conditions that we could add on to a proposed resolution, such as this, if the board decides this could be approved, subject to the applicant installing a hidden driveway sign, erecting a mirror at the beginning of the driveway, and providing ample room to allow a future owner to pull out of the driveway rather than back out of the driveway.
Okay. Aziz, any questions from you or comments?
Yeah, I had done a site visit several times before the snow and after the snow. And one of the things that I felt, and I agree with Rocco, that this is a place where the East Fishkill police usually parks their car to pick up speeders going up and down Fishkill Hook Road. So that's one less location for them to hide their vehicle in that between the two guardrails. So I also know the area. But one of the things that I was going to suggest that as the new homeowner is coming up onto Fishkill Hook Road, it's a steep driveway. So if you can make it the entrance almost parallel to the Fishkill Hook Road, so fill it up in such a way so that when they come up, they're not on a slope, but they're almost on in a parallel setting. So this way, when they are making the turn left or right, they're not sliding back, and that they are in parallel to the road, whether to make a left turn or right turn. So they're not on a hill, but on a flat surface. And that would also, so basically you'll have to, give it a contour, or the slope would have to be maybe sharper midway someplace as you're coming out of the garage and turning around. So that was the only thing that I was thinking of before Rocco brought up this site distance issue.
May I respond to that?
So Mr. Lanza, yes, I was going to say, is this a better option?
Well, actually, he brings up a very good point, and your town code already has provisions to produce the results that Mr. Eisen just made reference to, and that is that the town code only allows a 4% slope for a certain distance away from the center line of the roadway before you can grade the driveway more steeply, and it also requires a maximum 4% slope within a certain distance of the house. So we've accommodated both of those requirements in terms of we're a 4% or less slope away from the road. Then we increase the slope to 12%, and then we drop it down to less than 4%. And actually, we actually wind up sloping up slightly to the house at the bottom of the driveway just for drainage purposes. So I think we've accommodated that request already.
Okay, thank you. That sounds good. Aziz?
Yeah, that's fine. That's the only thing that I noticed. Another thing I was looking at, there was a bunch of rocks around. Is this, I don't know if you've looked at the terrain, but there's a whole bunch of rocks. So is this, do you need any dynamite or any kind of blasting or any kind of heavy equipment to remove the rocks that are there?
No, actually, we're not going to be grading in that area. Where you saw the rocks, that's one of the reasons that we had to be very selective about where the septic system went. So we've gone in and done deep test pits throughout the site, and quite frankly, where the house is going and where the septic system is going is actually very nice sand. So
Okay.
no reason to excavate rock by blasting or any other means.
Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, thank you. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the application from Lori Joseph Builders, 80 Fishkill Hook Road, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 75-foot sideline variance from I-84 for a future dwelling pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations? If you are looking to say something, if you could either raise your hand through the Zoom computer function or press *9 on your phone.
And Chairwoman, I just want to make sure that the 15-foot front yard relief is included in that as well.
Yes, it's included in the proposed resolution.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Michael, anybody raising their hand?
Nobody's raised their hands.
Okay, so would anybody like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, this is a proposal, appeal number 3974. Applicant is Lori Joseph Builder Incorporated, requesting a 70-foot sideline variance for the requirements of the schedule of bulk regulations for a future dwelling to be built adjacent to I-84, section 194 attached 3 note 11. And number 2, a 15-foot front line variance from the requirements of the schedule of bulk regulations, the variances. The property is located at 80 Fishkill Hook Road, Hopewell Junction. A resolution offered by zoning board member Aziz Hassan, whereas note 11 of the schedule of bulk regulations require a minimum buffer of 100 feet from the edge of the Taconic State Parkway or I-84 right-of-way to any structure, building, or parking areas. And whereas the property abuts the I-84 right-of-way, requiring the applicant to apply for a 75-foot sideline variance from the requirement of the schedule of bulk regulation to build a dwelling adjacent to I-84. And whereas the applicant purchased the property prior to the 100-foot buffer requirement with being in place. And whereas the applicant made an initial presentation at the ZBA's meeting on October 27, 2020 meeting. And whereas at the October 2020 meeting, ZBA members expressed concern that the proposed dwelling did not contain a garage, which would require an additional variance by the homeowner if they wanted to add the garage at a later date. And whereas the applicant next appeared at the ZBA's meeting, at ZBA's December 22nd, 2020 meeting, and refined the design to provide a garage in an area for a shed to be installed. And whereas this design requires a front line variance of 15 foot, and whereas there are wetlands in the vicinity of the property, which limits where the applicant can place a home on the property. And whereas this action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 17th, 2021. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 23rd, 2021. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance shall not produce any desirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the applicant is building a single family home in an R1 zone, and the house is located at the end of the street adjacent to the I-84 right-of-way, and also being adjacent to an approximately 13.5 acres conservation parcel. the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the property layout provides significant limitations due to it being adjacent to I-84 and its proximity to wetlands. The sideline variance could be deemed substantial, but it is reasonable given that the sideline setback in an R1 zone is normally 25 feet and it is 100 feet in this case, since the property abuts I-84 right away, but the actual distance to the right to I-84 roadway is significantly greater, and the variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, as the applicant has designed the property to avoid wetlands. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Laurie Joseph Builders Incorporated for a 75-foot sideline variance from the requirement of the schedule of bulk regulations for a future dwelling to be built adjacent to I-84, section 194, attachment 3, note 11, and number 2, a 15-foot front line variance from the requirements of the schedule of bulk regulations. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days.
Hold on.
Okay.
We need to add the conditions that Michael has written for us.
Sure.
Okay,
I can read that. Do you want me to read them again into the record?
Yes,
So,
please.
and the condition
Yes,
should be
please.
subject to the applicant installing a hidden driveway sign, erecting a mirror at the beginning of the driveway, and providing ample room to allow a future owner to pull out of the driveway rather than back out of the driveway. And I'll send these to Jackie.
So I make a motion to amend my motion as amended by Michael.
Second.
Okay, and so then you can read that last part, be it further the.
Okay, be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Thank you. Rocco, do you want a second or do you want me to second?
Second.
It's only 2 of us, so. All right, so votes as follows: Aziz, Rocco,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So the
Yeah,
motion, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so item number 2, hold on, I need glasses. Too much paper on my desk here. Item number 2, Appeal 3977. This is also a public hearing. Dorothea Monroe, 2 Jennifer Drive, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 5-foot front yard variance from Jennifer Drive for the existing dwelling, including the porch, a 51-foot front line variance for the dwelling from Hillside Lake Road, including the existing deck, a 60-foot front line variance for an existing 8-foot by 10-foot shed, and a 80-foot front line variance for a proposed 12-foot by 10-foot shed, a 2-foot height variance to have 250 linear feet of a 6-foot fence in the front yard and along Hillside Lake Road, and a front yard variance to allow the existing and proposed sheds to be located in the front yard pursuant to sections 194-98 and 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. It is noted that this parcel has 3 front yards. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So, Ms. Monroe, we previously had the opportunity to see your application. When you first came in, you were just looking to install a fence. However, we noted that your house had been built many, many years ago. And it was before the town zoning ordinance changed that required a further setback, the 100-foot setback on any county or state road. Hillside Lake Road is a county road, so suddenly your house was not conforming to code. No fault of your own, certainly. For the record, I am a fairly close neighbor to this. I am certainly not an immediate neighbor because I live on Brandy, not on Jennifer. But I walk by this property multiple times a week. I do want to compliment, as I have previously stated, when Ms. Monroe and her husband bought this property originally, it was in such sad shape, and they have done really remarkable work in terms of cleaning it up and making it look beautiful compared to, that I think the person who had lived there before just had gotten unable to take care of the property anymore. So and also in walking, I did notice that there are at least 3 6-foot fences along Hillside Lake Road on other properties that also have frontage and run between Hillside Lake Road and Jennifer Drive. So this is not an unusual request. It's in keeping with the fact that there are other lots, and Hillside Lake Road people are zooming past these properties. So there's a lot of street noise for all the cars, the trucks and the cars that are passing by there. And so there is actually an existing fence. It was really, when I saw it on the survey, I had to look twice when I was walking by it to be able to see it, because it is just so dilapidated. And so we are going to ask Ms. Monroe, when she does put up her new fence, to just make sure that the remnants of the fence that was there get removed. It was an old post and, with some wires and stuff. So if that can just be taken down while you're doing this, again, it's very difficult to actually see it, but there's no reason to just keep that further debris there. The fence that Ms. Monroe has found is actually going to be a black vinyl fence. She went to a lot of trouble to find a fence that is going to be heat resistant. So, the black should blend in well and should actually cause the least amount of glare and disturbance and everything for anybody. You're frankly shouldn't even see it. But she's gone to a lot of trouble to be able to find a fence, that would be able to serve her purposes. And like I said, give her some privacy in her, what is really what she uses as her rear yard, but again, is really a front yard because it's frontage on Hillside Lake Road. So are there any comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
Yes.
I'm good as well.
Okay, so with that, is there any member of the public who wishes to speak for or against Dorothea Monroe, 2 Jennifer Drive, Wappingers Falls, and her request for multiple variances because of the nature of her house having 3 front yards? If you are interested in speaking, please either use the raise hand function on Zoom or press *9 on your phone. Michael, are there any?
No hands raised.
Ms. Monroe, before we close the public hearing, is there anything else you would like to say?
Thank you all very much. We really appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Well, let us take our action first. We just want to make sure, okay? But it's like I said, you've done a lot to be able to make some major improvements to that property. So I certainly appreciate that. Okay, so Michael, just one last check. Any raised hands?
None.
Okay, so do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion, so moved.
Second, Aziz?
Yeah, second. Rocco?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Your hand. Thank you. So
Thank you.
Rocco, do you have a resolution?
This is appeal number 3977. The applicant is Dorothea Monroe. This is for a 5-foot front yard variance from the scheduled bulk regulations, existing dwelling, including the porch from Jennifer Drive. And 2, a 51-foot front line variance from the scheduled bulk regulations for the existing dwelling, including the existing deck from Hillside Lake Road. And 3, a 60-foot front line variance from the requirements of section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance for an existing shed. And 4, a 2-foot height variance from the requirements of section 194-98 of the zoning ordinance to have 250 linear feet of a 6-foot fence in the front yard. And 5, a variance from the requirements of section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance to allow an existing shed, 8 by 10, and proposed sheds to be located in the front yard, collectively called the variances. The locations at 2 Jennifer Drive, Wappingers Falls, zoning district R1, resolution offered by zoning board member Rocco Limitone. Whereas the applicant applied for a variance to install a new fence on a property, and whereas the applicant selected a special fence that will not be altered by the sun, it will improve the aesthetic appeal of her property and privacy for herself and surrounding neighbors. And whereas after applying for the variance, it was determined that the applicant should apply for conditional variances in order to obtain the relevant approvals for all dimensional nonconformities. And whereas the property has 3 front yards, so there was no way to situate the house on the property without there being dimensional nonconformities. And whereas this action is a type 2 action under SECWAR and no further action is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 17th of the year 2021. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 23rd, 2021. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variances will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood as the house is pre-existing. The fence is of a high quality and will increase the aesthetic appeal of the property. And one of the sheds has been on the property for many years. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means as the property has 3 front yards. The variance for fence height could be deemed substantial, but it is reasonable given that the fence will increase safety, aesthetic appeal, and privacy. And there are multiple other properties with 6-foot fences along the hillside lake frontage. The variances will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, as the only addition to the property will be a shed and a 6-foot fence, and the other variances relate to existing conditions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Dorothea Monroe for the following. One, a 5-foot front yard variance from the schedule of bulk regulations for the existing dwelling, including the porch from Jennifer Drive. 2, a 51-foot front line variance from the schedule of bulk regulations for the existing dwelling, including the existing deck from Hillside Lake Road. 3, a 60-foot front line variance from the requirements of section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance for an existing shed. 4, a 2-foot height variance from the requirements of section 194-98 of the zoning ordinance to have 250 feet of a 6-foot fence in the front yard. And 5, a variance from the requirements of section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance to allow an existing shed, 8 by 10, and proposed sheds to be located in the front yard. Be it further resolved, within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second,
All right, so votes as follows: Aziz,
aye.
Rocco,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So now your motion carries. You guys are all set.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, have a good
Good luck.
evening.
You too. Bye-bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Good night.
Good
All
night.
right, item number 3, appeal 3978, Mid-Hudson Development Corp. Mid-Hudson Development Corp, 118 Ridgemont Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a special permit to allow 2,018 cubic yards of fill to be brought on site pursuant to section 194-75 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. So again, we've had an opportunity to review this application. Part of this fill is necessary to be able to get the grade on the driveway and then to be able to create a better actually location for the house and front yard area there. Correct, Brian?
Yes, ma'am. The way we
Okay.
positioned the house, it kind of matches what's going on in the neighborhood. And to do that and to create a yard, it's going to require some fill to be imported into the site.
And so then the normal requirement would be that you'd be allowed to bring in 350 cubic yards in any one given year. But, you know, there's additional fill requirements here, again, to create a better house and driveway for the users of this house. So anything else you want to offer, Brian?
Nope, that's it.
Any
Standard.
questions or comments from board members? Aziz or Rocco?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, so is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Mid-Hudson Development Corp. for 118 Ridgemont Drive in Hopewell, requesting a special permit to allow 2,018 cubic yards of fill to be brought onto the site.
We do have two people in the audience who'd like to speak.
Okay,
I'm
that's
gonna
fine.
promote somebody. We have three now, it looks like. So I'm going to promote somebody named Rich first.
Okay, thank you. Welcome. Rich, you're welcome to speak. You've got to unmute yourself.
How's that?
Now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for, doing this for us. I just recently heard about this. My name is Richard Rella. My wife is Patricia. She's also here. We live at 156 Country Club Road. We received your notification that we are within 250 feet of this proposal. Correct?
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Keep you.
Okay, because I know nothing about this. I just heard from my neighbor a couple of days ago, and he suggested that I, listen to the, the developments. I have several questions, if you don't mind, I'd like to have answered. First of all, I just heard from a gentleman, Brian, you're planning to build one house?
So if you can, please, you're going to direct your questions and comments to the board, and then the board will direct whoever's the appropriate person to respond to them, okay?
Right, okay. Well, what's the proposal? What is going on exactly? What is all this fill? I heard that the fill is to make the grade level and it's for a driveway. So my first question is, what's being planned back there? Because it's at the bottom of our existing property, I imagine. We live on the golf course on the Taconic side.
Okay, so the proposal is to build a single-family house on this lot.
There's one house.
Yes, it's an R1 zone, so it is a single-family house that has been proposed.
Okay. Do you have any idea how close it will be to our house?
Hold
Just
on,
wondering
now,
the
the plan. Brian, I don't have any other, well, hold on. I'm gonna say where are the other properties?
Look, I know from the aerials when we were overlaying it, you're probably at least 250 feet away. So maybe to give context of where we're at, there's an existing guide rail that's on the southern side of Ridgemont Drive. So the house is going to be located right at the end, or actually right at the start of that guide rail as you go down the hill. And the house will be located about 111 feet from the edge of the property, probably about 125 feet from the edge of the road. And the driveway is going to come in right before the start of that guide rail. It'll come in and it'll transition into a garage area. Looking at the lot, if you're standing in the lot looking up toward Ridgemont, the house is going to be about 67 feet off the westerly property line, and that's where I believe the owner is describing where his property line is. We're probably another 200 feet from his house from that property line, going in a westerly direction. Elevation wise, where our driveway is coming in is elevation 370. And our first floor elevation of the house is, let's give you a second. First floor elevation of the house is 360. So if you're at the road, we're transitioning in about 10 feet over the course of the grade of the driveway.
When you mention the road, you're talking about Ridgemont, right?
Yes, sir.
So it seems that we are not going to be very close to that home. Because
it's a larger lot. So the object is, I'm the engineer, I'm not the developer, but
right.
The object is to keep it wooded and just to bring in some fill to level the area, create a nice grassed area, and just match the character of the neighborhood.
Okay.
And for the record, Brian, is it is an 8.25 acre lot. So yes, an 8.225 acre lot that will have a single family house on it.
With a lot of woods, according to what he just said, right?
Correct. So
Okay.
actually, the rear yard, what he's proposing here is going to be 685 feet to the furthest point of the property line.
Okay.
Where will the house face?
One of my other main questions is you're talking about a lot of fill. A big concern would be that's a lot of trucks coming up and down Country Club Road. That's a concern, you know, the noise, the amount of dirt and debris. How many days or, you know, weeks is that going to take? So that could be a big disruption, I would imagine, especially for children in the area.
So
So-
Brian, again, if we're, we do limit the town limits the days of the week that trucks deliveries can, you know, fill deliveries can be, and what size trucks are you proposing to use? 10-yard or 20-yard? What are you thinking?
These will be 10-yard trucks. They'll be sporadic throughout the time period that they'll be filling. The developer owns a couple of properties that are local. So it'll be as he's developing the properties. He has a site in Fishkill that used to be an old sand and gravel mine. So there's some material that has to be removed from that site. All clean material. Again, it used to be a former sand and gravel mine. So that fill would be imported over. I would think at its max, maybe 2 to 3 trucks a day during the course of the business hour. There may be a truck Saturday, or maybe it depends on where he's working in his other sites. But this is not going to be a caravan of trucks coming in like on Saturday.
And
Yeah.
the town
Yeah.
does have very strict rules about when fill comes in and how clean it's got to be, et cetera. So.
Okay, for the record, you can only bring dirt or gravel between 8 in the morning and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. No fill on Saturday, Sunday, or holidays. And you're only allowed up to 12 loads of fill per day. So if you're doing 3, 4, you're within 12. You're allowed up to 12 loads a day. And again, the hours, as I just mentioned. So you are within that, but again, you can't bring it on Saturday or Sunday. I just want to make it very clear.
Yep, we'll make that a condition of the plan.
Like 200 trucks.
Where does the house face?
My wife just asked a question. Which way will the house face? Face towards the road, I guess, towards Ridgemont?
Yes, it's going to face toward Ridgemont. So you would, as you're looking in your backyard, you'd probably see a couple of garage doors.
Right. And I guess my last question is, when is this due to take place approximately?
We'd have to go through the approval process with the zoning board, address everybody's concerns, but upon approval, there would probably be sometime maybe in the summer, spring. I don't know if they have an active buyer for the piece yet, but
Right.
it would be, obviously when the snow melts and development starts to pick up on their end.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you, Rich. Michael, the next speaker.
Sure, so now I'm going to allow Andy Donovan to speak.
All right, Mr. Donovan, when you're ready, if you can unmute yourself.
All right, try it now. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Yes, thank you. Welcome.
Okay, my wife and I are here, Margaret Donovan and Andrew Donovan, 168 Country Club Road, Hopewell Junction. We are neighbors immediately to the rear of this site. You currently have a access from Ridgemont down onto the site, and it's a steep driveway, and it goes down. It goes right to the right of way of the sewer line. What kind of impact has been anticipated with regard to the sewer line that's existing there, which takes care of all of the houses, for a large number of the houses for the Legends subdivision? Also, the purpose of the fill, from what I gather, is to level out the property. From the sewer right-of-way down to the Taconic, there's a rather steep slope. Is it your intent to elevate the property above the level of the sewer right-of-way?
Are those all the comments?
Well, I would like to hear what the answers to those comments are.
right. So the town of East Fishkill, and and in addition, the sewer easement that was created to support the infrastructure that carries sewage from the country club, you can't have a driveway within that easement area. So we will not be encroaching into the easement area with our driveway. In fact, we're probably at its closest point 10 feet from the edge of the sewer easement, which is they're typically 30 feet wide. So the utility is within the center of that. So there will be plenty of distance and protection that we won't encroach that utility. The lot does have Dutchess County Health Department approval. So the intention is to lessen the grade that goes down to the home site. Bring in some material so that we can grade around the front of the house and have a walkout basement. There'll be a pump chamber that has been approved by the Dutchess County Health Department that will pump effluent up to the sewer manhole. And they do have permission to tie into that line. They do have permission from the district to do that. So this is the grading aspect to try to create a little bit more of an appealing lot, for the next homeowner.
Is your driveway, is the plan for your driveway to be where the current access is?
I'm not sure where the current access is. I don't know if that was an access point to maintain the sewer easement, but prior to construction, as a requirement of a building permit issuance, is the house will be staked out by a licensed surveyor, the driveway will be staked out. There's a set of checks and balances to ensure as construction is ongoing, that the house is in the right location, the elevations are at the right mark. So there are a series of checks and balances once the permit is issued.
I have a question also to the board. Is it possible to have either members of the board or representatives from the developer meet us at the site?
For what purpose?
For the purpose of fully explaining to myself as well as my next door neighbor what the plans are for the fill and the amount of fill and where the fill is going to go, where the driveway is going to be. It sounds like you don't know where the driveway is going to be at this stage of the game.
No, that's not accurate. We have a plan that's showing where the driveway is going to be, and the plan is available in town hall if anybody wished to see it.
The engineers.
Do we have the ability to share screens here, Tom? Or Michael, I mean?
Mike,
Yes, you can share your screen.
But Brian, I needed to ask a question. Where is the sewer easement? It's not labeled on here as an easement. It looks like there's a area that's marked flow with an arrow that seems to straddle the property line. So it appears that half of it is on this property and half of it is on the property next door.
Yes,
That's us.
yeah, if we could share let me see if I can share it here. Let me just clear this up.
And so it's not, at its closest point to the driveway. There you go. Okay.
All right, so to get everybody's bearing here, if you can see my hand here, this is the edge of the guide rail, right? You're coming down Ridgemont. Here's the start of the guide rail. Our driveway is going to come in, meander in. The house location is 110 feet from the property line. This is a sewer easement here. This is the edge of the easement, and it's shown on sheet 2 of our subdivision plat. But this is an existing easement. It bisects the property, and then as you go down, it rides the property line. You can see here our driveway comes in, and we're close to the sewer easement. We're probably about 10 feet from it, and then we transition into a garage area. The area of fill is going to be If you follow my hand, it's basically the outline of our disturbance area here. So the intention is to fill in a couple of feet back here where this is the rear of the house. It'll have a deck, it'll have a full walkout. And then we would transition in, we would lessen the slope here and create a bit of a front yard. Disturbances are less than 1 acre. So there's the intent to keep this treed and to keep disturbance at a minimum. But the fill will be located directly around the house. I would say a majority of the fill is going to be within 30 feet of the house.
And so the intention would be by bringing in this fill, you're creating a more usable area to be able to keep the house up front, to be able to keep the rest of the property forested.
Hi, this is Margaret Donovan, and I'm at 168 Country Club Road, my husband Andy, and we're on the corner lot there. So I guess my one question is, you're bringing in 2,018 cubic yards of fill, and you're supposed to bring in 350 cubic yards a year. So you're bringing in 6 more years worth there. I guess I'm concerned, how is that going to affect my yard? Are you going to be higher up? Do I have any issues with you're higher up and then there's going to be water streaming into my property? And because I'm right on the other side of the sewer line. And I guess my other question was about when Rich was talking, you said, well, you know, he was okay because you were going to keep that area treed. But in March, you came in and you chopped down all the trees adjacent to our property. And if there are any plans to maybe put some more trees back there, because now I can give traffic reports on the Taconic from my house now.
Well, first of all, I didn't clear any trees. So that's the developer, and the developer has a permit.
I'm sorry, this is not personal. I'm sorry, not you.
I believe that the developer has secured a permit from the town of East Fishkill to clear. We have an approved plot plan. It was the intent to lessen lessen the visual effect of a house so far down from the edge of road. So the intent was to obviously bring material up. I think we can all agree that the price point of homes out there, we're not putting up a raised ranch. This is going to be a home that matches the character of the neighborhood. So the developer is well known in the area. So there will be landscaping placed around the house. And again, with the price points that are out there in this neighborhood, I would assume that there's going to be some screening. They're going to want to buffer from the Taconic as much as anybody else. So the process with approving these plans, the building department takes a look at these plans. There's a sediment erosion control plan that's looked at by everybody. There's inspections that happen by our office and by the town to ensure that measures that are shown are installed and maintained. So there is every effort to protect downstream neighbors and receiving waters from the development action.
Again, this is Andrew Donovan. If you were given approval for the fill, would the proposed home and its surrounding yards be higher than the existing right-of-way for the sewer line?
No, we're
Yeah,
lower
they're
than,
lower. If you look at the numbers, the numbers are clearest on the roadway. You can see they've got the 2-foot contours here, so you can actually see where where the elevation of the road changes, and it's going down into this property. Okay, yeah, you can actually see as each of those lines appears, there's a number there. You know, I see 348. I see 356. So you can see where the where the contour lines are, and it's showing that this property is sloping down and away from your property. So your drainage will drain onto this property.
Okay, I thank you for that because we're not engineers, so we're relying on you guys.
Yep,
Again,
understood.
Again, this is Andrew Donovan again, because the property is at a lower elevation than Ridgemont Drive. When they built Ridgemont back 15 years ago, they came in and they dramatically increased the elevation in order to keep the the level or the slope of Ridgemont Drive. They brought in a lot of fill, so this property that you're talking about that you own or that's being proposed for build on is in a gully. It's much lower than the thing. Again, my question is, I would like to propose, I would like to have somebody from the developer and if necessary, somebody from the board do a site visit of the property to show us exactly what is the proposal. I don't necessarily accept things that are, oh, it's going to be fine and we've got a great landscape and stuff like that. I would like somebody to show us where things, and also show us where the proposed driveway is, because from what you're talking now, the driveway is further to the east on Ridgemont than the current access from Ridgemont that they're currently utilizing. So again, I would propose having site visit with somebody, a developer, myself, one of my neighbors, perhaps, and somebody from the board.
Yeah, if there's a staging area there that was used as part of the original construction of Ridgemont, or a staging area when they cleared trees, where we show the driveway is where it's going to be installed. There's a large amount of checks and balances that go along with site construction in the town of East Fishkill. Again, where we're filling in anywhere from 5 to 6 feet around the foundation area. We're probably filling in about 8 feet in front of the house. There is an existing manhole that's out there. If you know where that manhole is in your backyard at the angle
On the
point,
sewer right away.
the sewer right away, where that manhole is, we're 60 feet from that sewer manhole.
Right.
So that's where the house is. That's where the edge of the house starts, and then it works its way toward.
But what I would like to see, and again, I'm asking for a site visit, is showing us where the fill is going to be.
That's where the fill is going to be, is around the house.
And again, I'm asking for a site visit, which I don't think is, considering the fact that a year ago in March, they came literally and clear cut the entire lot. And if you go to the site now, you'll see that they clear cut it and they left all of the wood debris laying on the ground. I don't necessarily have full faith and confidence in the builder with regard to this.
They clear cut an 8-acre lot?
They clear cut the entire area from Ridgemont all the way in, and I don't know if it's an acre lot, but it's at least a half acre. They just clear cut. They cut everything down.
The property behind our house.
Is totally naked.
Okay, as we stated earlier, this is an 8.25 acre property.
I understand that, but my question is, has anybody from the zoning board been to the site?
I have not, no.
Okay, I would ask that there be a site visit scheduled, and I'll be more than happy to be there with the representative from the builder, because again, a year ago, they literally came in and clear cut all the way from Ridgemont, a huge portion of this property. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at your map, and I believe what I see is the manhole covering, the sanitary manhole. They clear cut all the way from Ridgemont, all the way back beyond where the house is going to be. And they left the wood there. So
All right,
I'm asking for a
so
site visit.
we're getting into a situation where we need to know what the rules are. So there are certain times where trees can be cleared, they have to be
Right.
felled, and then you go in and you stump. They weren't stumped because we were working on a development plan. We were looking to see if other projects were being developed, that this could be a site where fill could be imported. Then COVID hit. Then a buyer, a possible homeowner that was interested in the lot backed out of a deal. So there's a series of events that happened. This was not just left abandoned.
It
Again,
was, because I live there and I look out on the property. And since a year ago, and as a matter of fact, at one point I was in the backyard with one of my sons and we saw John Gabriel, who was a representative of the builder, trying to show the lot to somebody. So I'm very familiar with the property, but they literally cut down every single tree and left the wood standing there or laying there. And so I don't have particularly great amount of confidence in the desire of the builder to worry about the neighbors or what the property looks like to others. So again, what I'm asking for is I would like a site visit to show us, and I'd more than love to have a member of the zoning board come and visit the site with us.
What I would like to suggest is if the neighbor wants to meet with the applicant, we could push it for 1 month, but I don't recommend a site visit because I'm comfortable with the fill. I'm comfortable with what the applicant is proposing. I'm very comfortable. We have had this conversation. It's a public hearing. We have reviewed it several times. I mean, at least once, maybe twice last year and earlier this year. I can't remember all the details, but we've had a review of this parcel, and now we are in a public hearing. So I'm very comfortable with what the applicant had proposed, and any of the issues that are being raised are minor in nature. Yes, they're allowed X number of fill, and they're trying to, and we see these large parcels, very small parcels where they have to fill in, bring in fill for a variety of reasons, for grading, for having a walkout basement. I mean, there's so many reasons when the applicant has to bring in fill. So the fill is very reasonable. The amount of fill is very reasonable. The area of disturbance is very reasonable. Yes, I do understand that certain trees were cut. I don't know if it was 8 acres of trees that were cut or
No, there
1
wasn't
acre
8 acres.
Pardon me?
I don't believe there was 8 acres.
Okay, I do not know. But again, whatever they cut, they got permit from the town of East Fishkill to cut. So they had to do it. And as the applicant mentioned, or the applicant's representative mentioned, that in the town of East Fishkill, and there's all these requirements when you can cut a tree, and then of course you have to haul it away, etc. So again, they may have a buyer who may have changed their mind. Like COVID hit in February, March of last year. Everything has been pretty much on a hold. So it's not unusual in this pandemic situation for things to not move as they moved 5 years ago or 20 years ago. So again, I don't see a reason for a site visit, and I'm very comfortable with what the applicant is proposing. Thank you.
This is Andrew Donovan again. Can I address the board again? I've heard a number of reasons, the pandemic, this thing, that thing, all, but your concerns aren't my concerns. And at one point, the engineer mentioned that they need to know what the rules are. The rules are plain. The rules are already existing in the zoning. They say that they're allowed to bring in 350 yards of cubic yards of fill. That's the rules. So what you're doing now is you're potentially going to make a variance from the rules, but we already have the rules, and we would like to adhere to the rules. But I'd love to meet with the member of the zoning board and with the developer to show us exactly what they plan on doing. If you look at the driveway currently, it is very steep and it slopes right off Ridgemont, right down into the property. But again, we have the rules. The rules exist in the zoning code of the town of East Fishkill, and you're requesting a variance from that. So we know what the rules are, and I would like to adhere to them.
Brian, is the developer, are you willing to go out and meet with the property owner next door?
we can meet with the property owner. Again, he's describing what we're trying to improve. We have a steep driveway that's.
I understand. I'm just asking the question. It appears to me, I mean, you're outlaying on your plan here, the buildable area or with the setbacks there. So clearly the steep slopes are all probably in the first 25, not even 25 feet of the property as you enter into it. That's when, you know, the contour lines are clearly getting further spaced out. So the 2-foot contours are, you know, where the property is getting less steep as you go into it. So
I'm comfortable meeting with the developer, but I would like a member of the planning board there, or the zoning board.
for what purpose?
I don't know if based upon what I'm hearing, I don't know if what we say and we talk about can make this neighbor happy with our development action. So in order for things not to get misconstrued and relayed correctly back to the board, just to have a member present.
Well, it sounds like the neighbor just wants to see a hands-on explanation as opposed to the map. I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. I mean, it's happened before where we've had the neighbors meet with the developer or the owner of the property or whoever it was that can explain to them exactly what they're doing on site.
Yes, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah, I don't think it's an unreasonable request for the neighbor. Maybe he just needs an understanding of what's going on. I mean, we understand it, we see it, we're looking at the map, but that's us.
And as the property owner next door, I can say to the board that I know the property too, because I live there. I live right on the other side of the sewer easement is my property. So I'm very familiar with the property. I'd like to, I'd welcome a site visit, or I'd welcome someone from the zoning board as well as from the developer.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for the zoning board because we are independent, participant in this process. And so if one person shows up and agrees with you and the 3 other disagree with, we vote independently of each other. So we can't have especially in this COVID-19 situation, I don't see a reason for delaying this process and or for a site visit and all that other thing. If you want to meet with the applicant, that is, I mean, I'm willing to move it by 1 month, but other than that, I am ready to vote on this thing. So I don't see any issue here, except that the neighbor wants physical hands-on, experience. I mean, physically being told where the dirt is coming in or the fill. We have seen this kind of fill being brought many, many times. This is not the first application that we have where we are giving a variance on a fill. It may be an higher end neighborhood, but again, we have to treat each applicant as they are presenting their situation. And so I don't see a reason for a zoning board member to visit the site because what we have in front of us is we're 100% comfortable. I mean, I'm 100% comfortable with it. If somebody wants to volunteer and meet with the neighbor and the applicant, that's fine. But I don't see a reason for the zoning board to get involved in a site visit for this particular situation. Again, if the applicant and the neighbor wants to meet and move it by 1 month, I'm fine with it. Otherwise, I'm ready to move on this project.
Honorable Board, again, this is Andrew Donovan. I don't necessarily see a urgency with regard to this entire matter. The developer has not shown an urgency with regard to this matter over the past year, and therefore the space of a month or 2 months, 3 months, it doesn't matter because they haven't shown anything over the past 12 months. So I don't see any kind of urgency with regard to this matter.
Okay, but Mr. Donovan, what I'm understanding is you're not happy because trees were cut down and the stumps and the, the trees themselves were left on the property. We can't make that any better. Okay, I understand. You can now see to the Taconic Parkway. So whether your interest is in working to get some better understanding of what the landscaping is going to be, even if the developer, excuse me, I'm speaking now, please. Even if the developer does landscaping, it's not going to stop the owner of this property at some point from cutting down more trees. All we're talking about is whether we can make a lot, an 8¼ acre lot, a better lot and minimize perhaps any future owner from cutting down trees by creating more usable space around the house, the proposed house itself, and obviously making the driveway safer to get in.
But Honorable Chairwoman, again, this is Andrew Donovan. There are rules. There is a town code. There is a town zoning code, and the builder is requesting a variance. A variance meaning that they desire to go away from what the stated objectives of the town zoning code is. And if there's going to be a variance, then I would like, as a person most homeowner most impacted by this change, I would like to, it doesn't seem unreasonable to myself and my wife to have somebody from the agency that is going to potentially approve this variance come out to the site. And it doesn't seem at all unreasonable to have the developer who wants a variance to come out to the site and to explain us. Otherwise, there is, the person can do by the code, adhere to the code, adhere to exactly what's in the code right now. And I have no objection to that because I can't have an objection to that. So, but you're asking for a variance, and it's the variance that I object to at this stage, unless you assuage us and show us where the driveway is going to be. If the driveway is not going to be where it currently is, then I would like to, I don't see any urgency in this matter. I think that the urgency is something which is being made by the engineer and perhaps members of the zoning board, but I don't see the urgency because I've looked out on this over the past year and I haven't seen them any urgency over the past year.
Okay, so Mr. Donovan, I'm going to tell you that the code actually allows that any person, property owner, whatever, is allowed to appeal to the zoning board to be allowed to bring in additional fill. The code actually allows that. Okay. They have to get the permit from us to be able to do that. So that's the provision. Again, what I specifically asked, what is it that you think we would see by doing a site visit? And I'm not hearing what it is you think we're going to see that we don't already see. That we're telling you where the driveway is going to be. Okay, he's asking specifically that, any approval or any resolution from this board would refer to this plan that is where the driveway will be. And his fill plan, et cetera, is based on the driveway being in that location. So he's not going to have an opportunity to move that driveway.
No, I'm
May-
not.
May may I speak?
The driveway's 15 feet west of the existing guide rail. So wherever that guide rail is, walk 15 feet to the west. That's where the driveway is going to start. If you look down and you can see the manhole that exists, we're going to be 60 feet from that to the east. And the driveway, the garage floor is going to be about 2.5 to 2 feet lower than that manhole cover. That's where the garage is going to be. The first floor will be about 2 feet higher than that. The fill will be around the house, within 30 feet of the house, 35 feet.
Hi. This is
So, Ms. Donovan, please hold on one second, please. okay?
Sure.
I think we've already heard enough comments. You've heard from at least one, there's only 3 members here this evening. We only have 4 members at this point. And so we're not going to have a quorum to be able to approve to do a site visit. So, you know, again, and I'm personally am not hearing the reason for the site visit beyond, you know, Mr. Donovan would like to see somebody show him exactly where the driveway is going to be. The developer's professional is telling you where the driveway is going to be. So Ms. Donovan, I don't want to just keep going in circles. I've got other people waiting. I've got a lot of other applications to get through this evening. So if you have anything new to offer, we would be happy to hear it.
30 seconds, please. I'm not so good at this stuff. I'm looking at the map. This is my home. I'm the owner of it with my husband. I would be most grateful if somebody could just walk me through it and show me stuff. Telling me 30 feet west or, you know, 40 feet this way or elevations. If I could just walk through with somebody, I'd feel so much better.
I tend to agree with Aziz. I mean, I'm ready to move forward, but if the neighbor would like to meet with the property owner, we could push it a month. So I mean, everything Aziz said, I second, I agree with him in his comments.
One final comment, and then after that, I won't say anything further. Over the past, myself as well as my next door neighbor, the first time that we ever heard about this, I know that there was references that this is well known by the zoning board for a significant period of time. But the first time that my neighbor as well as myself first heard about this was when a sign went up, probably at the end of December, the beginning of January, whatever it was, talking about the original date for the zoning board meeting in January. That was the first time that we ever heard about this plan. So perhaps you internally knew about this for a significant period of time. We did not. We just knew that last year somebody came in and they clear cut the land, and but we have never heard, we did not hear about any kind of proposal until really till tonight. And that's why I don't see the necessity for any kind of urgency with regard to this. There hasn't been shown any urgency over the past year. I don't see the urgency to not allow a visit to the site currently. Thank you.
Okay,
Just a quick comment.
Just for the record, there is no requirement for any applicant to show any urgency for this board to act. So that's again, it's not a valid, you know, a valid reason for this board to not proceed with this. And for the just information, the application was only filed, it was date stamped November 2nd, 2020. I guess, you know, our board saw it probably in November and December. So which is the normal course of things would be that for the zoning board, that's what we do. We review applications. And then after we're comfortable that our questions are answered, then we invite the neighbors to come in and tell us anything we should be concerned about with the properties. So that is how the process happens. Okay. It's not like we haven't been seeing this for a year. We've seen it twice. Okay. This is our third, because we didn't meet in January. So this is the third opportunity for us to review this. So, okay, Michael, is there, I think that you said there was a third person that wanted to speak on this?
Yes, somebody named Lori.
So Lori, if you can unmute yourself. Good.
Oh, could you hear me?
Yes, that's not Lori, but
Yeah,
yeah.
no, Lori's my wife. I'm Eric Kirschenbaum. I'm at 162 Country Club Road, right next to Andy.
Okay.
So my question is we got a lot of questions answered, but I just had a couple. So I have a couple kids that are in school. They take the bus stop at Ridgemont and Country Club. So with all the fill coming in, you know, the bus stop comes in at 8 o'clock in the morning and drops the kids off at, I don't know, 2:30. So, you know, that's a lot of fill. And, you know, it's about, if you're using a 10, whatever it is, it's about 200 trucks. So is there going to be some consideration for the school kids with the buses and all that?
Sorry, Brian, if you can address, is the developer, willing to
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
be
we don't,
conscientious about the times of school buses?
we'll be conscientious about, kids and bus stops and following general traffic rules of New York State. And again, this is not a convoy of trucks. At its peak, it's maybe 2 to 3 trucks a day. At its peak, it may be 1 truck a week.
Okay.
Again, it's not a big movement. It'll be over some time.
Okay. And then the other thing is, you know, I hear Andy's concerns, and, you know, I'm in agreement with him because, you know, we see it from our backyard, but, you know, with all the trees being cut down, you know, obviously you have to haul all that stuff away. So do you have a timetable when all the trees will be taken away?
Yeah, I mean, typically what happens, with an application like this is we get approval, and the next step, before we start bringing material in, we're gonna remove the material that's laid down. We remove the stumps, have a clean site, and then obviously start the fill import. I mean, I want to remind everybody that this was a golf course, and now there's 300 homes up there. So at one point, everybody's home site was woods. And the intention is to create the same characteristic, which is, limited disturbance around the house, try to preserve trees where we can. Disturbance to this site is less than an acre, which falls in line with what's throughout the neighborhood.
Yeah, no, I'm not questioning that. I just was wondering when it would be taken away. So, and then, you know, just for the board, I mean, you know, with all that fill coming in, I mean, I'm sure you have rules and regulations. Just want to make sure, because we have kids, that, you know, the fill is clean and it's not hazardous. So,
That would be a condition in any approval resolution.
yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay. And the last thing I have, I know this is taking longer than expected, but, you know, when we moved here 15 years ago, I mean, everything was pretty pristine. And then, you know, from, you know, the roads on St. Andrew's Country Club, it's hard to walk now because, you know, with all the trucks, there's a lot of potholes now. And, you know, I mean, I know this town is taking a long time before we would even get consideration for repaving, but I mean, does the town board take that into consideration, the toll it takes on the roads, especially with, you know, basically 200 truckloads coming here and then leaving? So that's like 400 round trips. So
Okay,
that,
remind you,
that's all,
this is the
that's all I
zoning
have.
board.
I'll
Thank you.
yield my time back to you guys.
We are not the town board, so thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, are there any other speakers?
I believe Rich, who spoke before, has re-raised his hand. I can promote him briefly to see if he has a quick follow-up question.
Okay, thank you. Rich, if you can unmute yourself and,
There you go. Okay, I'm on.
Yes.
we can hear you.
Yeah, basically, Eric had a lot of my questions. In the very beginning, I had asked about the amount of trucks that were going to be transporting fill. So that was a really big concern of ours. And obviously it was echoed by my neighbors. And you did answer that question. So that was a question that you guys did answer. Do you think it's possible, according to what Andy was asking, that you are going to have a builder come out to the site and speak with him? Because we'd like to be a part of it.
Okay, what we've decided at this point is that there's not enough support of the board or need for the board to go out, do a site visit. But Brian, can you set up some time with the neighbors? That's your call with the developer.
Yeah, I would just ask anybody who wants to be part of a site visit, just to email Jackie at the town. She's the ZBA secretary. Just send her your contact info. Email's the best way to do this.
Okay.
Send out a chain. We'll set up a time. We'll meet on site.
Brian, you can let us know when the site visit is and we will see if attend as a member of the public.
Okay, thank you.
We're not setting up an official site visit.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Rich.
Okay.
Michael, anybody else? Any other speakers?
I do see one caller. So if when the caller does need to speak, for whatever matter, if you could hit *9. So I'll give you a second just to hit *9 if this is the matter you're calling about. Nobody else raised their hand.
Okay, so Michael has now made the caller who hit the *9 of available. They have to hit it again, right?
Only if they want to speak on this matter.
Okay.
So, and this person did not hit *9 because the hand wasn't raised. So nobody else has raised their hands.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board? Do we want to close the public hearing?
What I would, again, the applicant is willing to push it by 1 month. So we can review it again. We can adjourn this public hearing for next month and review it again. But otherwise, I'm ready to vote right now. But again, if the applicant wants to satisfy the neighbor and be a good neighbor.
Would it be possible to close the public hearing and just give you an update of what happens and what the conversation was in the field? I don't see anything changing other than being an informative session of elevation and location of that house.
So what the board can do is close the public hearing tonight for verbal comment and still accept written comments up to the next meeting date. That would be sort of a middle ground. If the board would like, that's just one option.
I mean, I'm ready to move this application along right now because as the applicant has pointed out, and again, as I'm looking at the information that is in front of me that was presented, we had a review in, I believe in November, another review in December when we did the motion to advertise. We had a January meeting canceled, so that's why it has come to February.
Aziz, if you would like, we can close the public hearing and you can make a motion on a resolution. We can offer a resolution and see if it gets enough.
And Norma, sorry, Chairwoman Drummond, somebody just raised their hand who called in. So should I allow that person to speak?
We haven't closed the public hearing yet, so we do have to offer them the opportunity to speak. So yes, please.
Okay, so the caller is now able to speak, and it looks like you're muted, so you can hit *6 and it'll unmute you.
Yeah, my name is Tom. I'm also a neighbor on Country Club. I just want to. I'm just thinking about what Mr. Donovan.
Tom,
was
I'm
saying
sorry.
about
We need your full name, please, for the record.
It's Tom Murphy, 158 Country Club.
Thank you.
And I'm also a neighbor to the property, but we walk the neighborhood a lot, and I just want to make an observation that the notice that this project was going on is in a cul-de-sac, deep in the cul-de-sac. We walk on Country Club. We only happened to notice that this was going on, and only a few of our neighbors were aware of it with the written letter. The majority of our community was completely unaware. And back to what Mr. Donovan was saying, if you got a 350 cubic yard limit per year, the people that are affected are the 400 round trips coming up St. Andrews, going up through, or Country Club, through the golf course and the effects on the roads and those neighbors as well. As mentioned, with Eric talking about the kids in the bus stop and such, but it seems like that rule is in place so that you're not overloading the community as well. So I just think that that's being, you're shortchanging that whole discussion, and it doesn't make sense. The people affected on St. Andrews and all the way up from Beekman Road had no idea this was going on, and you buried these signs in a cul-de-sac where nobody was aware. People that lived literally less than 100 yards away had no idea that this was going on as of last week. And so there could be a lot of community concern that you're not listening to. So I'll just stop with that.
Okay, I'm just going to state in response to what you've said is that we are following the town code in terms of noticing. So,
It's satisfactory
out.
to put the sign was in the cul-de-sac and it was buried in the snow and it was just visible for a matter of a few days. It's probably still buried. Nobody knows about this. Literally 100 homes between Beekman Road that are going to be dealing with 400 round trips of trucks are unaware that any of this is going on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So Aziz, Michael.
Okay,
any other
yeah,
speakers?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
Okay, this is appeal number 3978. Applicant is Mid-Hudson Development Corporation requesting a special permit to allow 2018 cubic yard of fill to be brought to on site pursuant to section 194-75 of the town code. The property is located at 118 Ridgemount Drive, Hopewell Junction. Resolution offered by Zoning Board of Appeals member Aziz Hassan. Whereas the property that is the subject of this application is located at 118 Ridgemount Drive, Hopewell Junction. And whereas the applicant has applied for a special permit pursuant to section 194-75 of the town code to bring an additional 2018 cubic yard of fill as part of an ongoing construction of the property. And whereas the applicant has posited that this additional fill is necessary due to the existing topography of the property. And whereas this is an unlisted action under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 17th, 2021. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 23rd, 2021. Whereas now, therefore, as a result of the foregoing, the decision and the order of the Zoning Board of Appeals is as follows. This action will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact, and therefore the ZBA issues a negative declaration pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker, and two, this application meets the requirement of section 194-75 of the zoning of the town code, and therefore the ZBA grants the application for the special permit for up to 2018 cubic yards of fill subject to the following conditions. A, the applicant shall submit a plan to the satisfaction of the town engineer, which includes erosion and dust control practices. B, all fill brought to the property must be clean fill without any deleterious material. C, no more than 12 loads of fill that can be brought to the property per day. D, fill may only be brought to the property between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on weekdays. E, fill may not be brought to the property on weekends or on holidays. And F, the applicant must establish an escrow account which will be replenished if needed in the amount of $3,500 for the inspection of by the town's environmental monitor. Now, therefore, be it resolved that within 5
Aziz.
business days. Oh,
Sorry, can I just offer one amendment just based on the discussion that we heard and the
yeah,
concern?
okay. G.
Yeah, so with the hours that are allowed, the 8 to 4, that the developer will be considerate and of school bus routes and times, please. Okay. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have trucks going by when kids are out waiting for school buses or walking to the school bus.
So G, and section G, the applicant will monitor, will,
We'll take
I
into
didn't-
consideration, we'll take
We'll
into
take into consideration-
consideration school bus schedules.
okay, as amended, as amended. Now therefore be it resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Rocco, is there a second?
Second.
So it votes as follows: Aziz,
Aye.
Rocco,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So the motion carries. Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you, Brian. I would appreciate though, if you, again, if you organize the visit, let us know when it is. We'll see if we can participate.
Yes, ma'am. I'll check up with Jackie to get contact info and we'll send the email out.
Okay, thank you. All right, item number 4, Appeal 3979, Edwin Cruz. Edwin Cruz, 1 Pellbridge Drive, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 3-foot sideline variance for a proposed air conditioning unit pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Mr. Cruz, we did have an opportunity to review this application at our last meeting. This is a property that is at the corner of Pellbridge Drive and Beekman Road, so it is a house that has 2 front yards. The applicant is looking to replace their air conditioning with an energy efficient unit. It makes sense to put it on the far side of the property so it's not visible from Beekman Road. The applicant would put up screening to make sure, you know, it is as screened as best as possible. According to the survey, he is less than 3 feet away from where he would need to be. So, but we only do variances in whole feet. So that's why the request being, you know, that's being asked for is the full 3 feet. It's a very low unit, so, you know, and energy efficient. So he's looking to place it next to the chimney on his house. And that's pretty much it, unless Mr. Cruz, there's something else you wish to offer. You'd have to unmute yourself, please.
No, thank you.
There you go. Okay, good. So Rocco or Aziz, any comments or questions?
I'm good.
I am good.
Okay, so we'll open it up for public comment. Does anyone wish to speak for or against the request from Edwin Cruz, 1 Pellbridge Drive, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 3-foot variance for a proposed air conditioning unit?
So if you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand or hit *9 if you're calling in.
Thank you, Michael.
No hands are raised.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank
Rocco?
you.
Rocco?
This is appeal number 3979. Applicant is Edwin Cruz. The project is a 3-foot sideline variance from the scheduled bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance for a proposed air conditioning unit. Property address is 1 Pellbridge Drive, Hopewell Junction. This is in an R1 zoning district, and resolution is being offered by zoning board member Rocco M. Limatone. Whereas the applicant applied for a variance to install an air conditioning unit, and whereas the air conditioning unit will not be visible from the road, and whereas there is an existing vegetation which would obscure the neighbor's view of the proposed air conditioning unit, and whereas this action is a type 2 action under SEQR, and no further action is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 17th, year 2021. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeal held a public hearing on February 23rd, 2021. And whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, it will be screened by vegetation to the road and the closest neighbor. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means due to the configuration of other structures and the utility infrastructure on the applicant's property. The variance is not substantial. The variances will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request of Edwin Cruz for a 3-foot sideline variance from the Schedule of Bulk Regulations of the zoning ordinance for a proposed air conditioning unit on the condition that the applicant adequately screens the generator with shrubbery. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Second.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. Votes as follows: Aziz,
Aye.
Rocco,
Aye.
and myself, aye, so the motion carries, all set. I do want to note that in the chat, there was a request from applicant for number 9, Kimberly Muia, requesting to be able to be heard next month because they have to get up and really early in the morning and get to work. So we've said, I did respond that we will hear their request next month. So there will be no item number 9 this evening.
Norma, I think she might have wanted to be heard next. Not next month. I think she wanted to be moved up on this.
Oh, no, we can't do that. That's for sure. I still have public hearings to get through. So we've gotta follow that schedule first. So we can hear her next month if that's what we can offer. Okay, item number 5 is an appeal 3980 Brian Rodriguez. Brian Rodriguez, 284 Judith Drive, Stormville, is requesting a 428 square foot area variance for a proposed 1,656 square foot or 36 foot by 46 foot detached garage pursuant to section 194-107C. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so Mr. Rodriguez, we saw this we saw this in December. You have an RV that you are looking to be able to build a garage big enough for. That's why the garage is the 46 feet deep. You were also looking, you already have an asphalt drive that goes back to that area, but you're looking for, while we are calling the garage 36 foot by 46, it really is only 24 feet wide of a garage and then 12 feet of a lean-to for you to be able to use that other area for storage as well. The code allows anybody to have a detached garage that is up to 750 square feet or up to 60% of the footprint of your home. Your footprint is 2,048 feet, which is why you require this the extra variance of the 428 feet to get there. So, I think we all, based on what we saw last month, agreed it was reasonable, but we did need to hear from your neighbors. So any comments or questions from Rocco or Aziz?
I have a question. You said they're gonna move the shed in the back. Did you move the shed already or is it still there?
No, we moved it already.
Did you remove it completely from the property or you just moved it back?
No, I moved it back like 5 feet.
Okay.
Thank you. Aziz, anything else?
No questions.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So is there anyone here who wishes to speak for or against the request from Brian Rodriguez, 284 Judith Drive, Stormville, requesting a 428 square foot area variance for a proposed 1,656 square foot detached garage? If you wish to speak, please press raise hand or *9.
No hands are raised.
Okay, so
Motion to close the public hearing.
thank you. Is it
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is appeal number 3980. Applicant is Brian Rodriguez, excuse me, requesting a 428 square foot variance for the requirements of section 107C of the zoning board for a proposed 1,656 detached garage. The property is located at 284 Judith Drive, Stormville. Resolution offered by zoning board member Aziz Hassan, whereas the applicant plans to build an accessory detached garage to shelter an RV, and whereas the accessory garage does not contain a second floor, and whereas there is an existing asphalt driveway which leads to the proposed accessory detached garage, and whereas a detached garage can be either 750 square feet or 60% of the square footage of the footprint of the principal structure, whichever is greater, pursuant to section 194-107C of the zoning ordinance. And whereas the square footage of the footprint of the principal structure is approximately 2,050 square feet, so the maximum allowable square footage of the detached garage without a variance is approximately 1,230 square foot, leaving the applicant needing a 428 square foot variance. And whereas this would be the only detached garage on the property, whereas this action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further action is required, and whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 17, 2021, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 23rd, 2021, and whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, or as the detached garage is residential in nature and will shield the neighbors from the RV, the desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, as the applicant could request a slightly smaller garage, but the property is a narrow lot and the placement of the detached garage is the most logical location. The variance could be deemed substantial, but it is reasonable given that it will shelter an RV. The variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions, as there is already an asphalt driveway leading to the garage. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request for Brian Rodriguez for a 428 square foot variance from the requirements of section 104-107C of the zoning ordinance for a proposed 1,656 square foot detached garage. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Votes as follows: Aziz,
Aye.
Rocco,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So Mr. Rodriguez, your motion carries. You're all set. Now you just deal with the building department, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, have a good evening.
You too.
All right, item number 6. I have number 9 in my head now. I appeal 3983, Catherine Lieber, 5 Poplar Street, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 1-foot sideline variance for a proposed generator pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Ms. Lieber, when we met with you, your homeowners association, you're in Hopewell Glen or Four Corners?
Four Corners.
Four Corners, thank you. So you already have their approval to be able to put this in. You just need the 1-foot sideline. You're just looking for an emergency generator for when we lose power, as many people already have in their homes. As you already noted, there were other property owners in your development that have this already approved. The unit itself is only like 25 inches deep, but you need the clearance, the 18 inches clearance or so from the house. So that's the reason why you need the 1 foot here. So any questions or comments from board members, Aziz or Rocco?
No comment from me.
I'm good.
Okay, so does anyone wish to speak for or against the request from Catherine Lieber, 5 Poplar Street, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 1-foot sideline variance for a proposed generator?
No hands are raised.
So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Rocco?
This is appeal number 3983. Applicant is Catherine Lieber. The project is a 1-foot sideline variance from the requirements of the schedule of bulk regulations for a generator. The address is 5 Poplar Street in Hopewell Junction. Resolutions being offered by zoning board member Rocco M. Limatone. Whereas the applicant has applied for a 1-foot sideline variance for a proposed generator, and whereas the property is located in Four Corners, which is a cluster subdivision with smaller lots than those normally found in an R1 zone. And whereas the applicant has already received approval from the Four Corners Homeowners Association to install the generator. And whereas the generator will only be used when the home loses electricity. And the applicant has proposed the most logical placement next to the utility connections. And whereas the location is surrounded by bushes on several sides, and one side is exposed to a neighbor. And whereas this action is a type 2 action under SECWAR, and no further action is required. And whereas the legal notice was published in the Southern Dutchess News on February 17th, 2020. And whereas, should that be 21?
Yes, 21.
Comment to say February 17th, 2021. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on February 23rd, 2021. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals finds the granting of the variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to the community, as the applicant will provide adequate screening for the generator, and the generator will only be used when the home is without power. The desired result cannot be achieved by some other means, but this is the desired result can be achieved by some other means, but this is the most efficient location to place the generator. The variance requested is not substantial, and the variance will not have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. Now therefore be it resolved that the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby approves the request by Catherine Lieber of 5 Poplar Street in Hopewell Junction for a 1-foot sideline variance from the requirements of the scheduled bulk regulations for a generator, on the condition that the applicant adequately screens the generator with shrubbery. Be it further resolved that within 5 business days of the adoption of this resolution, the chair and/or other duly authorized member of the zoning board shall cause a copy of the resolution to be filed with the town clerk and a copy sent to the applicant owner.
Second.
Thank you, Aziz. Thank you. Votes as follows: Aziz,
Aye.
Rocco,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So your motion carries. You'll just deal with the building department at this point, okay, to get your permit there. Okay?
Thank you, everyone.
All right, have a good evening.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was our last public hearing of the evening. At this point, we've got reviews to do, which again, these are applications that we're either seeing, for the most part, they're going to be ones we're seeing for the first time. So, and then if appropriate, then we'll set it up for a public hearing. So the first review is item number 7, Appeal 3981, Jessica DeRosa, Perfect Pause. Jessica DeRosa, 92 Hosner Mountain Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 120-foot front line variance, a 101-foot sideline variance, and a 114-foot sideline variance to run a doggy daycare out of an existing building pursuant to section 194-55-1 of the zoning ordinance. Did we hear from Ms. DeRosa? Jackie?
Mute, Jackie.
Yes, we did. She actually called me 2 days ago. She needs a little more time to get us a survey.
Okay, so she's not here this evening.
No.
Okay, that takes care of item number 7.
Yep.
Okay, item number 8, Appeal 3982, Gemma, my apologies, I don't want to say your name wrong, but Kang, I'm not sure. Gemma Kang, 171 Beekman Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a 3-foot height variance for an existing entryway 9-foot fence located in the front yard pursuant to section 194-98 of the zoning ordinance. So my apologies. First off, I always hated growing up when people pronounce my name wrong. So, if you can let me know how to pronounce it, I'd appreciate it. You have to unmute yourself.
Hi,
Hi,
my name is Gemma Kang.
Hung. Okay.
On Beekman Road.
Okay. So this is the first time we're seeing your request. If you can take us through, why did you put in a 9-foot fence and why should we, obviously the maximum for a fence, particularly in the front yard, is 6 feet. So we're trying to.
I'm sorry, I had no idea. I just wanted to make a beautiful garden. And that was one of the items that I wanted to have as decoration. I just didn't know.
Okay.
If I had known, I would have gone through the proper procedure.
But there is no proper procedures. That's my point. So why should this board grant a variance? What is unique or special or whatever about why you need that fence? Or I think it's more of a gate, right?
I'm sorry?
Is it more of a gate or is it a fence?
It's a gate.
Okay, so why should this board grant this variance for the gate?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just trying to make my garden beautiful, inspired by like French chateau. And it just really make the entrance more grand. And I'm planning formal garden. It's just a design idea.
Beautiful gate, that's for sure.
Well, I'm going to leave it open. I'm not going to close it, if that makes any difference.
Norma, I thought this was for a fence, not a gate. I don't know what the rules are for a gate, honestly, because I thought I was looking for a fence, and all I saw was a gate. So, I mean, does the fencing issue apply on a gate?
Yes, there's still a maximum height, okay? I guess I'm trying to understand why. I mean, I think the only thing that makes your property unique is the fact that the house itself and the property is historic or locally significant. I'll use.
Oh, it's a beautiful house. I just saw the gate and I thought, oh, it'd be so beautiful in my house. I just bought it. It's really heavy too. I didn't think any more than just something beautiful.
Okay. I can understand our position. Everybody would think a 9-foot gate is beautiful and want it at their own houses, but we can't have 9-foot gates all over the town, or why have rules? So, that's why I'm trying to get at what makes it unique about your property that, what, I mean, I drive along Beekman Road, so I'll tell you, I don't see this gate. So it's not visible. And so in that regard, that's one consideration for us to think about. But Michael, did you want to offer something?
No, that's what I was asking. Can you see the gate from the road?
No.
And is it purely for decorative purposes? It doesn't really serve a real functional purpose, such as.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's just decoration. I'm trying to also just wanted to make a garden around the house. And I don't know if you know this, across the road by the waterfront, I cleared the land and I'm going to plant flowers. So when people drive by my house, they can see flowers. I think it'd be very nice. Used to be a dump before.
Did you also change the bricks also?
No, nothing. No.
She's got a stone wall in the front of this house. That's really what you see when you're driving by. You can, if you look up the hill, you can see the barn. And she's definitely been doing some improvements to the to the buildings there, because again, as I drive by practically every day, I've seen work
Yeah.
on there.
What
Does the
about the
gate-
pillars? What about the pillars?
I'm sorry?
Were the pillars there before, or did you have the pillars installed to install the fence, to install the gate?
Pillars? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't understand.
The pillars, like your gate is attached to.
Oh, the pillars. Pillars, gate doesn't touch the pillars. The pillars have cement around it, a couple of feet cement around. You cannot even get near it.
Were the pillars there before, or did you install those?
Oh,
As
no, they were there. They were there
Okay.
before.
And so is the gate the size of the pillars a little shorter than the pillars? Or what's it in relation to the pillars?
Gate is a little taller.
How much taller?
Let's see. I have a picture.
About.
I don't have the picture with me.
1
I
feet.
don't have the picture
1
with me.
foot, 2
Maybe
foot?
it's pretty close. Maybe a foot or so
Okay.
taller. Because the gate has like point.
Okay, so again, given the historic nature of your home, that this could help. The fact that you already have pillars on the property that exceed the 6 feet or
It
like.
just felt natural to have a gate there. I mean, I'm into fashion, and I was a fashion designer for 20 years, and I moved up here 4 years ago, and I like glamour. I like I like to decorate. I like to grow flowers. I mean, I'm retired now. I just want to make this house into a beautiful dream home.
Well, you got to do it within the rules. So
Yeah, well, if I had known, I would have got a smaller, shorter gate. It doesn't have to be that tall. I don't know.
not helping your case here.
The thing is, also this gate is not at the entrance at all. It is almost, it's almost like it's around the bend. It goes through so it's like it's not even visible from the county road, and it is inside the property as you go around the, like the circular driveway or something. Is your house an historic house?
Yes, it was built in 1835.
Okay, well then that is a historical house. So having a historical gate for a historical house makes sense.
It's just
the gate. Wait,
just
is
a
the
little
gate
drama
historical?
around my garden.
Believe me, given the nature of historic properties, we would like them to be very nice looking. I'm not disputing that, but
Well, when you drive through the gate, house just looks even more beautiful. It just makes a really nice entrance.
all right, let's hang our hat on the fact that it's a historic property. No, the gate is not visible. The gate is not at the entryway itself. It is, like Aziz said, it is further into the property. So again, making it less visible, and it is just slightly higher or minimally higher than the existing pillars. So you already had stone structures on the property, creating an entryway that likely exceed the 6 feet. It would be helpful, Ms. Khan, if next time you could actually, when you come in, if you could tell us next month how tall those pillars are. Okay.
Okay, I will do that. Yeah.
All right. I guess let's put it on for a public hearing.
Motion to advertise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Jackie, Ms. Khan, you're going to have to call Jackie, the clerk, tomorrow about information about getting your sign. Okay.
Okay.
This is a long property along Beekman Road. How many signs does she need? On the one hand, guys, she goes around that corner on Beekman. I don't want to distract drivers. So I don't think I want more than one sign over there.
I agree.
All right, there's a lot of accidents on that curve there, especially in the wintertime. So I'd actually just want one sign closer to the driveway itself. All right. Do we agree, Rocco and Aziz?
I agree.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think what we just need one sign right at the entrance of County Road because that's a straight way and that is closest to the variance that is being requested.
Yeah, I agree. I would not want to distract drivers
Nope.
around that curve. So, all right, Jackie, so just one sign. Okay, Ms. Khan, we'll see you next month. All right, so we agreed that the applicants for number 9 said they'll wait till next month, so we're up to number 10.
Oh no, no, they want to be heard. They're still on.
Oh, we'll wait, thank you. I thought that meant next month. Okay, so item number 9, Kimberly Muia, 43 Wright Boulevard, Hopewell Junction, requesting a 15-foot sideline variance for a proposed 576 square foot attached garage, which would be 24 feet by 24 feet, with living space above pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations of the zoning ordinance. So, Mr. or Ms. Muia, if you could take us through your application, we would appreciate it.
Okay, how you guys doing tonight? Can they hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, we're basically, so we have a 2-year-old that kind of took over our house with her toys, and so she's very limited in the amount of space that she has to play. So basically we want to do a 2-car garage and with a bonus room up top for her. And we have 2 other kids also. So we want to kind of make it like a game room type of thing and just have the space to park our cars also.
Okay,
Can they see me?
2-car garage, what, could you get away with 1 car?
Well, we have 3 cars, one of which I have is a classic car, so I like to keep that in the garage. And then I'd like for my wife to be able to park her car as well.
Okay, have you spoken with your neighbor on that side about what you're proposing to do?
Well, no, I plan to do that. Yeah, I don't think when the building inspector came out to review everything that I was going to be doing, he said, and we agreed that because it's so set back, it's not really going to affect the neighbor. So, but I definitely plan, I'm friendly with him, so I'll definitely plan to speak with him about it.
Okay, yeah, Wright Boulevard, you're not far from where I am, so,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, because if you made it 1 bay instead of 2, you would only need probably a 3-foot variance, but if that doesn't work, then
Well, it would still go out just as far though,
No,
wouldn't it?
no,
Oh, I see what
no,
you're
no,
saying.
no.
Oh.
okay. I don't know, questions or comments from board members? I mean,
There's a shed up there.
attached versus
How big is
detached.
How big is the shed?
Well, the shed's going to be coming down because it was here when we bought the house, and it's infested with mice. So when I start doing the construction on the garage, I plan to tear the shed down.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good.
Rocco, any questions?
No, I have no questions.
Okay, so Aziz, a motion to advertise?
Motion to advertise.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so if somebody can contact Jackie some point in the next couple days to get information for your sign and
Okay,
see you next month for a public hearing.
great, thank you.
All right, sorry you got stuck here.
Oh, that's okay.
I'll see you next month.
Very good, thank you.
All right, item number 10, Appeal 3985, Jocelyn Lassard. Jocelyn Lassard, 401 Woodmont Road, Hopewell Junction, is requesting a special use permit for the expansion of a pre-existing accessory apartment pursuant to section 194-91 of the zoning ordinance. A 22-foot sideline variance for an existing 825 square foot 3-car detached garage pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations, and a variance to allow an existing pool to be located in the front yard pursuant to section 194-95C of the zoning ordinance.
So if anybody's here for this application, you please raise your hand. Okay, we have somebody raising their hand.
Bill Poval, wow, haven't seen you in years, Bill. How are you? You're muted, Bill.
I think it's working now.
There you go. Yep, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm good, yeah. All right, so you want to take us through this?
Yep, we have a 16 plus acre that's owned by Jocelyn Lassard. It's at the end of Woodmont Road up on the mountain. It's located at 401 Woodmont Road. Property's rather large and has a long driveway up the hill to the top of the mountain. It's actually one of the houses you can see from 84 when you look up the mountain. And what he's looking to do ultimately is put an addition on the house, and also put on an addition to an apartment garage. It's a detached garage with an apartment above the top. He's looking to put an addition on that. So in preparing for that, we've been working with the health department to expand the septic system. The septic system that exists on the lot is very old, so we proposed the appropriate size septic system. Again, we're working with the health department on that, which also raised the question by the health department to get an acceptance from the town as far as the garage apartment is concerned. So we were back and forth with Michelle discussing this project. We did identify two other variance requirements, and they're both as a result of existing buildings. Right now, there's the existing house, which if we hold the front line down towards the road, it's approximately 800 feet from the road back to where the house is. If we hold that as a front line, the existing house meets all the setback requirements. However, there's a pool, an in-ground pool that would be in what would be called the front yard. So we would need a variance because the pool is located in the front of the front line of the house. And that's holding the front of the lot towards the driveway entrance on Woodmont Road to the south. Secondly, in addition to and I called it apartment garage, it's more of like a barn with an apartment above it. And that's directly north of the house. And that also meets the setback requirements. And then thirdly is a 3-car garage that exists on the property. And with the roof overhang, it's 8.5 feet to the property line. So we would need a 21.5 minimum variance to the side yard line. So ultimately, I believe we're here tonight to discuss a special use permit for the pre-existing accessory apartment. I believe that building was built in 1988. It was built by a prior owner. It was on the site when the current owner, Jocelyn Lassard, purchased the property. As well as the pool being in the front yard and the side yard setback to the 3-car garage. And I believe the pool is like 740 plus feet from the Woodmont Road. None of these structures are visible from any of the neighbors or other properties except for the house. When you look up from 84 in the Taconic, you can see the house. It would be the house that's to the left of the cell tower. So
Bill,
that's
is
where
this
we're at.
property, is this property historic again, like the last one, or locally significant?
That I don't know. I don't know. I'm not aware that it is.
Michael or Jackie is,
Norma, this is Michelle. I don't know that it's on the, I can check to see if it's on the historic properties list, but it definitely is I mean, I think it was built in the 20s and it's an all stone house. It's a very unique property. I think
So we can consider it locally significant.
I think it is. It's a well-known landmark on the hill from the Taconic. You see it overlooks the entire valley and the farm, the Jackson farm. And I know, it's basically, I don't know other way to describe it other than like an estate property.
I was thinking more of like a compound,
Yeah, it is. And it really is. The garage, the one garage that he's wanting to fix the apartment in is an old garage. It probably is about the same time as the house. It was built around the same time as the house. And there was always an apartment above it. I guess it's kind of like a barn garage, but there was always an apartment above it, and she's expanding on that apartment.
So at the end of what you're proposing to do here, Bill, how many accessory apartments are you going to have?
It would just be the one apartment above the barn.
Just the one? Okay.
Yeah.
And then just so you know, I looked back Jackie and I looked back in the records, and both the house and the pool, the garage, the 3-car garage that was built in the 80s, and the pool both have COs.
So the building department allowed them to build a pool in the front of the house, in the front yard.
Correct.
I guess part of the question it really is, might have been at the time, what was the front yard, being as the house faces a different way.
Correct.
The whole area where the house and barn, it's in the back portion of the lot. So, I could see how people could look at it in different ways. But I
Right.
believe the way we have it with the front yard actually by the road requires the least amount of variances. And it would be appropriate to have the front lot towards the road.
Right. Bill, I agree with you. My only question is the existing 3-car garage. Why are we not measuring that overhang? What is that? Is it part of the structure? Why are
Well,
we?
we did initially submit to the building, but then we updated or amended the application to include the overhang. So the overhang is 8.5 feet to the property line, I believe.
Oh, okay. So that's included then?
Yeah, the actual structure is 13.5 feet to the property line. So the overhang is closer. And that's why we amended the application to include the overhang, which would require a 21.5 foot side yard variance.
That's why it's a 22-foot sideline variance for the existing 825-foot 3-car garage. Okay, got it in there already. Okay. Michelle, any other issues we should be worried about here?
No, I don't think anyone's ever going to see any of these structures because you can't see anything from the road.
Okay. Bill, is anything else proposed on this property that's likely to happen in the next couple of years? I'm just concerned about segmentation.
Well, I know he does want to create a second apartment above the 3-car garage. However, that's not permitted, and Michelle can correct me if I'm wrong, is not permitted in the zone.
Correct.
My understanding that the town board is considering allowing additional apartments in certain areas, and this may be one of them. So that's something that the applicant would just have to wait and see if that ever happens.
Okay.
But they would use the existing structure that's there.
Okay. So this structure has a second floor to it already?
Yes.
Okay. Comments or questions from board members?
I'm good.
I don't have any comments or questions at this time.
Okay, so motion to advertise?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so Bill, guys, signs.
Well, there's only a small, I think it's 50-foot width.
Nobody's gonna see it if we put it in the front of the house.
And I think if we put it down by the driveway, it'll be at the
Yeah.
end of the cul-de-sac where the driveway is.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Yeah, at the
only
cul-de-sac
place you're
at the
gonna see
entrance
it.
is the best location. So I agree.
And wait, who, doesn't the owner own the property next door too? So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not even gonna really be noticing neighbors either. Okay, well, we gotta follow the town code, so. All right, Bill, we'll see you next month.
All right, thank you. Have a
All
good night.
right, have a good night. All right, item number 11, and actually our last item of the evening, appeal number 3986, Paul Akins. Paul Akins, 49 North Mission Road, Wappingers Falls, is requesting a 19-foot front yard variance and a 3-foot sideline variance for a proposed covered front porch pursuant to the schedule of bulk regulations in section 194-3 of the zoning ordinance, and a 13-foot sideline variance for an existing 10-foot by 16-foot shed and an existing 10-foot by 12-foot shed pursuant to section 194-107 of the zoning ordinance. So I'm looking for Mr. Akins, there you are.
Good evening, Paul Akins, 47 North Mission Road. This is my wife, Tracy.
Hi. Okay, this is the first we're seeing your application, if you don't mind taking us through it.
So we are planning on an addition in the back of the house, the proposed 2-story addition. The house is 22 feet wide, so we're going to add an addition, a 2-story addition, the whole width of the house by 13 feet deep in the back of the house. And then there's a section on the front of the house that's 9 feet. That's a 2-story. It's only 1 story, the first 9 feet of the house, and we just want to pop that up to 2-story as well. And then we want to add a 4-foot porch on the front of the house, which is what I'm guessing we need the variance for, because the house is already too close to the road, as we've been told.
So yeah, you have a really weird shaped lot.
Yes, it was 4 lots that we made into 1 lot. And the house was on the smallest of the 4.
Wow. So you've got one heck of a backyard, but you have.
Backyard's nice. There's not much front yard or side yard at all.
Right, wow. When I walk, well, sometimes I walk all the way up to North Mission and I walk up and I go to the left a little bit. Where are you on North Mission? Do I have to keep going?
So when you come, if you come into Hillside Lake on North Mission, that's the main one.
Right.
As soon as you pass the second road to your left, which is West Taconic, we're like,
Okay.
Where the actual second driveway on your left.
and we actually,
Okay.
the backyard actually touches. So we have road frontage on all along. Those back 3 lots are on West Taconic.
Okay. Oh, so you actually have frontage on both sides, okay.
And right now, our stairs to come in the house is actually sitting in the driveway.
Yeah, so we want to, as part of the project, we want to, move.
Your
the-
stairs are sitting in the driveway, what?
Well, so when our front door is not the front door. Our front door actually exits, as you're looking at that plot plan, on the right-hand side down into the driveway. So there's no front door on the house currently. So that's part of the project, is to move. The front door is actually on the side. So we want to put the front door in front of the house and have a front porch.
Do we have an elevation? Can you show us what your house is gonna look like? Survey.
I have it. If I can share my screen, I can pull up an elevation. We have plans that we filed with the building department.
Michael, can he
He
share?
has the capability to do it, yes.
Yeah, let me find
Okay.
the plans first. Do you know where you saved them?
Somebody who knows how to use technology. I like that.
There we go. Renovation.
In my house, it's like, all right, where's a kid when you need them?
I think this is the elevation sheet. There we go. So share screen. There we go.
Can you see that?
Yes.
So there's been a slight change. This is an older, the 1 dormer on the side, we actually changed to 2 dormers. So
Okay.
there'll be 2 dormers on the side, 1 here and 1 here, equally spaced.
So I
this-
like, you're now gonna have a little front porch with your front door there.
Yes.
Yes,
And
I would love that.
so currently the front door is actually right here on the side of the house with a concrete set of steps that go down into our driveway.
And I've been here 25 years, so a front door would be really nice.
Wow, okay. All All right, comments or questions from board members?
The only issue I have is that you have in the proposed covered porch, you have the steps coming in, but there is no, from what you just showed me, the steps are, I believe, covered. So that's a structure, but you have not given me dimensions or the distance from that covered porch to the North Mission Road, because I think you need a variance for that location also.
I agree. I agree with you, Aziz. It's actually the bottom of the steps, is the closest point to
Okay.
the front yard. So that's what we need, that measurement, please.
Let me see, let me pull up the other drawing, or actually it's on this drawing, but
Well, actually, whoever did your survey, well, you know, they should be able to put it on there for you to give you that measurement.
okay.
Okay. Now you also have two sheds in the back.
Right, that's part of the appeal.
Yep.
Okay, so they're both staying, I guess, okay.
Yeah, the plan is to keep them both and hopefully keep them where they are if we can get the variance.
Okay. Okay, that's it for me.
Did you put those sheds up yourself or they were there when you bought the property?
So one was there, the second one I put up,
Okay,
and we did file an as-built with the building department.
okay.
The only other question I had is, we started this process back in November and didn't even realize that we were going to need a variance. Is there any way that we can do something with the building department to be able to start work on the back part of the house? Since really the only thing we need the variance for is the front porch. We'd like to
Well,
start doing.
you need it for your property. You need it for the sheds too, so it's
Gotcha.
really, I don't think you're gonna really start in the ground until the snow is gone anyway, so.
No, there's some demolition we'd like to start, and we don't really want to do anything, we want to stay within regulations and not do anything without a permit, but there's an existing, where that back addition is going, there's an existing covered porch and a deck that I'd like to start tearing down in preparation to do the excavation in the spring.
Can we ask you to wait 4 weeks?
Sure.
You've waited 25 years. All right, the snow might be off the ground in 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
Motion to advertise. Motion to advertise.
Thank you. Wait 1 second. He's got 2 front yards. Does he? 2 signs, right?
You need 2 signs.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 signs. All right, so motion to advertise. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So call Jackie tomorrow or at some point this week, and she'll get you your information on your signs.
Okay.
And then we'll see you next month.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
next month you want the dimensions for the front stairs, right?
If you please get those to Jackie as soon as you can, because when we send letters to your neighbors, we should be having that correct measurement on there.
Okay, we'll get that.
All right, and then we'll see you in 4 weeks, not next
Great.
month. We'll see you in 4 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Have a
Motion
good
to,
night.
motion to adjourn.
Is there a
Motion to-
second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.